Hello, welcome to Guided Soul Reflections with Panima and Sangeeta, where healing meets real life. Whether you're spiritual, you're curious, or simply ready to live with greater awareness, we share through our own life experiences simple and grounded ways to raise your energy and return to clarity, courage, and peace. This is real life, not perfect life, and together we explore what it truly means to grow, heal, and awaken. Today's episode is about pain and suffering, and before we go any further, I want to say this gently and clearly. Pain is part of being a human. It doesn't mean that something has gone wrong. It doesn't mean you're being punished. It doesn't mean that you've been let go. But there often comes a moment, a quite subtle, where how we meet that pain matters just as much as the pain itself. That moment is what we're exploring today. Hi, I'm Panima. For a long time, I've lived from the outside in, achieving, adapting, staying strong, and quietly losing myself in the process. My awakening didn't begin with curiosity or seeking. It began when my body could no longer carry what my voice hadn't learned to express. Patterns of guilt, people pleasing, overgiving, and self abandonment. What followed wasn't a retreat from real life, but a deeper return to it. Learning to listen inward, meet discomfort with honesty, and live from truth rather than survival. Today, as a soul mentor working with emotional healing, energy, and integration, I walk alongside others who recognize themselves in that story, not to fix them, but to support their remembering of who they are beneath the patterns they once needed to survive. Thank you.
I'm Sangeeta Diwan, a spiritual mentor and an intuitive healer. I support individuals who are navigating grief, emotional pain, heartbreak, and trauma. My work is all about integrating transformative modalities such as rapid transformational therapy, Akashic record readings, energy healing, and hypnotherapy. And everything I offer is grounded in the wisdom of my own journey through loss and profound healing.
Thank you. So, in this episode, we're not trying to get rid of pain. We're exploring what happens when pain is met with awareness instead of resistance, and why that can become a turning point. I'm going to hand over to you, Sangeeta.
Well, it's a when people will hear this topic, it can be quite heavy. But what we want to do is again shine a light on why pain and suffering is a huge part of being human, you know. And it is about what do we choose? And yes, you heard me right. We do have a choice. Until we know we have a choice, we just create suffering. And pain is what happens to us through loss, through illness, disappointment. But change is a part of life, again, and suffering is something that often happens within us. And that points meet where we been carrying pain for a very, very long time. And again, suffering happens when we resist that pain, when we follow into the stories of fear, you know and through wrong identification, when our ego tells us who we are rather than who we truly are. And suffering sounds like this shouldn't be happening, or it'll never be okay again, and this means something is wrong with me. And believe you me, we all been there, and like Purnima and me, we will share our stories as well. But again, we want to reiterate, this doesn't mean you are a failure or what is happening to you. It's a failure. It's how the nervous system tries to protect us sometimes, and the turning point comes when the pain is allowed to be present, when we can consciously look at pain, ask questions, and be there, with the, of course, without the extra layers of that keep us keep the pain stuck and unmovable. And again, we are going to share through our personal stories and journeys how we were there and how we came out of it. But Purnima, I know we're talking about vibrations and we're talking about,
Mhm.
David Hawkins' lens of like energy thing. So share with us what is the turning point, when we are going through pain, and what can be the turning point for people.
Yeah, thanks, Sangeeta, and thank you so much. Just that point that you made there really resonated about sometimes, the difference between pain and suffering is unconsciously, because we don't realize the patterns,
Yeah.
we add to the suffering. So sometimes it's not conscious. Yes, there are times that it's conscious, but most times it also happens unconsciously. And that's why when you said meeting the pain where it is, that allows us to have the awareness, and that's what we're going to talk through. But that really resonated for me. Um, so yes, we've obviously been for the last few weeks talking about the vibration and how important it is to be aware where you are in terms of your vibration and your frequency. And okay, once I'm aware of that, what does that mean, and how do I, how do I evolve it, shift it, move it? And obviously, there's various tools that you can use to do that. But being aware of where you're at is the first and most important thing. So we've talked about in the last few weeks. We've talked about David Hawkins' map of consciousness, and a lot of the energies that we talked about, or the frequencies we talked about, or the vibrations, the interchangeable, is energy that's about survival. So, when we talk about fear, guilt, shame, um, greed, all of that, that's almost like, in the sort of, they call it the denser energies. Those are all about survival. Just, um, making each day, just, getting up, getting on with life, because that's all you know. And as you move up to courage, which is almost, I believe it's the middle point, um, it's that courage where you start changing, because that's where the energy begins to support change and choice and responsibility. So courage doesn't mean the pain disappears. It means that we're going to stop fighting that experience and meet it where it is, which is, what you've talked about. So that shift from, why is this happening to me? This is happening. How do I meet it? Is often where the suffering begins to loosen.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm gonna.
Wow. Thank you, Purnima. That made when you were talking about, and I was thinking about courage, where is on the scale, and I think it's a 200. Because he has
Mm,
given all the numbers. So, and I remember few years back when I was going through my own awakening with Sidra Jafri, and she used to say that courage is where it all starts, and courage could be somewhere that we are becoming aware. And when we become aware, what in my experience was, in the beginning, it's quite scary, because you actually see how much you're creating the suffering, how
mm,
much, because till then it was very easy for me. Again, I'm going to share my some personal experiences. Till then I was so comfortable in saying that, but that's his fault or that's her fault, because if they don't behave like that, then I won't suffer, then I won't have pain. And the courage is when you say, okay, let's really look at what is happening. Yes, somebody else said something to hurt me, but how am I creating it again and again and again? And that person, and I'm talking about small things. I'm not going into trauma and things like that. For example, if I've gone to a party and somebody said something nasty, and my mood will be totally spoiled. I've gone there to
mm,
have fun and enjoy, and my whole mood will be like, oh my God, is that what she thinks of me? Or why did she talk to me like that? Or why did he behave like that? And I will spoil my mood. And guess
mm,
what? I remember coming home and then thinking about it over and over and over again.
mm,
And that awareness, when it came to me that, oh my God, I was playing a huge role in creating that suffering.
yeah,
That happened once, but 10,000 times when I thought about it,
yeah,
was just, again, it was unconscious. I was not aware of.
mm,
But then it became exciting as well. That, okay, if I am creating that, I have no control over what other people and how they behave. So pain can come from outside, but I have a choice not to create suffering, and that awareness was really, really big for me. And when I was growing up, I was when we were thinking about these episodes, and I remember an instance when I was growing up. I I used to see myself, and I go back, as a very, very happy child.
Mm.
I'm happy in my own space. I'm singing and like moving around or whatever, or connecting with people. I had so much love to give until I was a happy child, until then something happens. Something triggers, be it a
Mm.
situation, be it a person. And then I was a totally different person. And I remember being told off or being punished for expressing anything else apart from joy.
Mm.
And I was like, no, but that's still I am. It's still who I am. It's still
Yeah.
Sangeeta who, yes, she feels joy most of the time, but when I'm angry or sad or frustrated or irritated, that's still that's still
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was like, so I remember disconnecting from that. It's like, okay, maybe I'm this person who gets irritated a lot because I was labeled then, difficult child,
Mm.
or,
Mm.
kind of thing.
Mm.
What they were not appreciating that, for example, if I say in month, 29 days, I'm a happy person.
Mm.
And then one day I get triggered and I'm angry or I'm irritated.
Mm.
And there was a reason for that. I wouldn't just one day wake up feeling, oh, I want to be miserable today, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that day, everybody just labels me and punishes me rather than saying, well, most of the time she's happy. Something must have happened.
Yeah. What's wrong?
Pause and
Major.
think, what is wrong with you? Why are
Mm.
you behaving like that? So I remember, and the thing is, then I grew up, of course, you grow up, you just live life, go by it. I remember actually when I was, my kids were young. So I was like in my 30s, early 30s. And I remember having these episodes of when I get triggered by other people because I was quite sensitive being. And yes, I got triggered. Yes, I'm in pain. And it would take time for me to process that pain and come out. But the guilt of me
Mm.
having to, face that pain or having to be in that sensitive space was so much worse. I
Mm.
used to just talk to myself like, well, you're so silly, you know, you're so stupid. Why do you get angry? Why do you get irritated? You are a mother. You should be happy all the time. You should be loving all the time. I was like, I used to put so much pressure on me to be perfect. Why? Because I was only appreciated when I was happy,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
I just, and I think, and I have seen it in a lot of my clients, a lot of people around it. Yes, something happens, but the guilt, the shame that we carry harms us lots more than the
Mm.
thing actually that happened.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
so it was such a learning for me when I started to work on myself. I was thinking, why am I feeling bad when something is happening to me? One, I'm in pain
Mm.
because of some other challenge, and then I'm feeling guilty about it for feeling the pain, you know? And I think I remember when I started my journey, I thought, I have to work on my emotions. Again, I was putting so much pressure. I said, I just want this pain to disappear.
Yeah.
I don't want to experience that pain. Of course, because it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Because, but I just could not, I was not somebody who could just not feel it. I
Mm.
I am like all out. I've always been very childlike. And
Mm.
I think a lot of people in my life has misinterpreted that as a childish. But I'm
Mm.
always very childlike. I would
Mm.
be laughing 1 minute like crazy, and I would cry, drop of the hat,
Yeah.
because something has happened and it created.
Mm.
So I thought I could never hide that what I'm feeling. People could just
Yeah.
read look at my face or see my mood, and even the tone will change. But I felt really not good being myself,
Mm.
and I think that was a bigger struggle for me. And I wanted for this pain to never come, for me to never experience pain again. That was such a unreasonable expectation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why are we torturing ourselves, kind of thing. um and what I realized as well, the moment I used to feel the pain, and cry and let it out, I would feel so energized suddenly. I would either cry and sleep, have a nap, and I wake up and I'm like in a different energy,
Yeah,
and
'cause you're
I was
releasing.
again
Yeah. Yeah.
questioning myself. It's like, what's
Mm,
happening? But
yeah.
now I know what was happening.
Mm,
But I used all that experiences of my learning into, of course, the grief that I have gone through it.
mm,
And I said, yes, there is immense pain. But now I have learned not to create suffering. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
go through that pain with awareness, with consciousness, not to rush my healing, not to
Mm,
feel bad when I can't function because I'm crying and I'm missing my husband. The amount of love I showed to myself, I think, because of 12, 13 years of my journey and the tools. And again, I was learning. Every day I was learning as well.
yeah.
But I think
Absolutely.
because I had awareness and I had tools to cope with it, I could go through my grief with such, um, it's like open eyes, with such um,
Awareness,
awareness and so much love
honesty,
for myself.
and
Yeah,
honesty.
honesty, that's the
Mm,
word. I was every single day, I was very authentic. I didn't feel the need that if I have a missed call from a friend or a family that I have to reply straight away. It's like, it's okay what they think about me if I don't call them for 3 days. You
yeah.
know, I don't feel like talking. I don't want to talk. Right now, I want to just cry. I want to just eat something. I want to maybe watch. I want to sleep, whatever
Mm,
you know and I think because of that, I feel, and the biggest phrase that was given to me when I was in that pain is part of life, but suffering is self created.
mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was immense for me. I was like, oh my
Mm,
god, this phrase is channeled through me for me to know that it is very easy for me to be stuck in this state
yeah.
of pain and suffering.
Absolutely.
So how
Absolutely.
am I going to go through it with awareness, with love, with honesty? And I didn't put timeline on my healing. It's like, I don't know. It might be 6 months, it might be 6 years, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to go through it each day as it comes. And that's what I just did. So, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think a lot of people will resonate with that, and I hope if there's one thing that they take from that, from your, your experience, is you have the permission. No one needs to give you that permission. You just have to give yourself the permission to feel the pain and choose how you want to work through it. Because, as I go into my story, we'll talk about is there's this whole idea that society tells us that, or the norm is that, you need to be perfect, that be positive. Everything was about be positive, just get on with it type of
Get
thing.
on
That
with it. Yeah.
get on with it. Like, or control your emotions. Like, in the workplace, there's no place for emotions. And when you start reflecting back on that, you just think, well, hello. Firstly, we are human beings. We have a spectrum of emotions, and there's a reason we have a spectrum of emotions. Is because we're meant to feel them, experience them, and then understand ourselves through them. So it's not something that's outside of us; they are part of us. And very much like you, I I would say most people would describe me as someone that's really, very upbeat, um, very smiley, etc. But and then when you're not, then people get worried. They're like, "Why are you quiet? Why are you not laughing? Like, what's wrong? Why are you not smiling?" And sometimes you don't know yourself when it's not so obvious. If it's not, that you've lost someone, but it's something that's coming up, but you don't, because we're not taught to sit with that and understand it. We distract ourselves. So so yes, I hope people. There's quite obviously lots to learn in that, or to resonate with. I think, and people can, hopefully listen to that and find some peace in their own experience and know that there's others going through the same thing. It's not something's wrong with me. Um, yeah. So with me, I would say again, we've gone through similar life experiences, similar in the sense of pain and suffering. Uh, those experiences, some are similar, some are very different. But I would say, yes, childhood obviously is where most of it happened. I'd say 1 to 22, 23 is where it was a smorgasbord of different challenges. And, I've alluded to it in many of the previous episodes, so I won't touch onto that as much now. But so it's for me, when the pain came, it didn't sort of come as this big, or throughout my life, it didn't come as this dramatic thing. But it was in my nervous system. So when I was growing up, conflict, just conflict was something that it was constantly in our environment. So the moment I hear a raised voice, I know my whole body would just go on alert. So even if it's someone in another room talking, or maybe if it's the TV, I think something's wrong, and then I'll go and check it out. Or, if I'm having a conversation with someone and it's becoming a bit difficult, even in the workplace, like, now when I reflect back, there were moments where I went into an office or a meeting room to talk about my salary, or to talk about something, a situation in the workplace, and I would always end up crying. And even though I prepared before that meeting and I was like, do not cry, you're going to come across as weak. Even though the points you want to make are so valid, you're just going to weaken yourself by crying. And because I didn't have the emotional awareness or the understanding of how to deal with my emotions, I literally would go in there, end up crying, then get all, confused, not actually say what I wanted to say, and then come out and then be like, that I didn't, that did not serve the purpose that it was supposed to serve. And then yet I was looking for someone outside of me to recognize, okay, she's really good at what she does. She deserves this, and this. But if I didn't believe it for myself, and I wasn't even able to articulate it without, yes, you can cry, but then make sure you say what you came to say. I couldn't even do that because the fear took over. So I went back into my shell, and I almost convinced in fact, I convinced them that nothing was wrong. And then I would leave the meeting room, and then, hey ho, another year goes, and then I repeat it again at another stage. So from very early on, I would say my system learned something powerful, that conflict equals danger. And I say powerful, not in a positive sense, but that is the way I lived my life. So basically, we've talked about it in previous episodes, right? So that's where your people pleasing comes in. That's where your control comes in. That's where your perfectionist comes in. That's where the overgiving comes in. That's where you have no boundaries at all. You don't like saying no to people. If someone wants to, if a few friends want to see you, you'll actually go out of your way and try and see 5 people in one day, knowing that that's unreasonable, but actually you don't want to even have that you don't even want to have that conversation because you think it's going to be it's going to land in conflict. So I just, if listeners, if they can just pause here and understand the subconscious impact that something, be it in your childhood, in your adulthood, the impact is so profound that you don't actually realize it until you sit down and you start following that thread. And it's such a, it may be a very thin thread, but it's a very, very strong thread. And it's powerful because it's how you make all your decisions. It's how you move. It's how you show up in places. It's how you live. And so so the pain was in childhood. The suffering came through all of the ways I would show up with myself, show up with my husband, show up with my siblings, show up at work, show up with my friends. And a lot of the times, most people that know me, I've showed up with a happy, demeanor, positive, getting on with life, but at a sacrifice. Because while I was doing that on the outside, what was happening inside is my body was creating the disease, the arthritis, because I was suppressing everything that I really wanted to say, everything that I felt, or actually maybe even didn't know I wanted to say. So it's not like I wasn't being authentic with people. it was that I didn't have the awareness that um, I should have boundaries. That I am I doing this because I want to do it, or am I doing this because I'm scared of upsetting someone? And then if that person's upset with me, how will I deal with that? Because it's going to end up in a fight, and then you know. So I would say I wasn't living. I was managing environments, managing people, managing emotions. And the more I avoided the conflict, the more I disconnected from myself. And then the pain came in one big bang. And that's when the suffering had to stop. Because now I had to face the pain, the physical pain this time, to understand, okay, what's causing this physical pain? It didn't come from just anywhere. Arthritis wasn't in our family history. So it's something that has happened that has brought me here. And we very early on talked about it. That's where I asked the question, I don't know what's going on. Please help me. And that's where this journey, started in a way. And now I always ask my body first. If I feel a pain, I'm like, what is this? What am I supposed to know? And instead of suffering that in my mind, and then just to close off on that, again, for our listeners, if this resonates, when we in pain and we thinking, or something happened, let's say something happened to us in our childhood, and you sometimes consciously you play it out in your mind, like you said, when you that guilt, and you were playing out that when you went to the party, and then someone may have not spoken to you in the right way, and then you're thinking about it over and over again. Every time you're thinking about it, you're adding elements to it, new elements. So you're creating something that may, in that saying of don't make a what's it, a molehill out of a mountain, or
Yeah,
a molehill.
yeah,
That there is truth to that, because we are by nature creative and we thinkers, so we can add so much more to that one instance. Yes, it was super painful, whatever may have happened in my childhood, but I added to it and added to it and added to it and made it bigger. And then my body is thinking, okay, she's in this fight flight mode. She needs to be safe. Okay, let's get going, whatever we need to do. And then you lose connection with your body. You have no idea why you're anxious, or, so it's really, really powerful. But as you start taking moments to come back to yourself, have that awareness, working with Sangeeta and I, we can help guide you on that journey because we've walked it. Um, and yeah, it will just show you. And honestly, there's freedom on the other side. So
yeah.
yeah, that's my experience of
That's beautiful, And when I was listening to you, and I had a chat with a client last time, and I think her question was that why why do we go through so much pain? And it's a very powerful question when we say why we go through such pain. And I remember asking, divine, saying, "But why me? Why do you choose me? Why do I have to go through these challenges?" And the answer, in my opinion, and through my experience, is that you know growth doesn't happen when life is going well. Growth only happens in pain. And it's such a shame, because when we become awareness, growth can be very easy. But when we are unconscious of it, like you said,
yeah,
it's not that you didn't want to do it, you were not authentic, you didn't know how to handle it, kind of
yeah,
things, and you didn't know some things that you have to do it. When we stay unconscious, growth only comes through pain,
yes, yes,
because that is the trigger, because when either there's so much emotional pain or physical pain, and being human as well, we are more physical, so I think we treat physical pain much more quicker. So
yes,
our
yes,
bodies, when we go through pain, emotional pain, and we are not aware of the emotions or pain or whatever, now it seeps deeply into our physical, and the physical body says, okay, now I'm going to create some problems for you
mm,
and pains for you. So you have
mhm,
to look at it,
yeah,
you know.
absolutely,
And like with yourself and with myself, I had to start with depression and things like that, or asthma. So when we start digging deeper, and when we dig deeper and saying, yes, okay, we have to now deal with the physical body and the medicine or whatever, but there is an emotional root to it. There's an emotional cause to it that, like you said, When we kept ignoring, not that we wanted to, we were not just aware. It was just sitting in our subconscious. We were not aware of it.
Mm.
But pain is like that's what was given to me. Pain is part of life. Why? Because that's where growth happens. you know but suffering is self-created. So when we are overthinking, we're going again and again and again, why me, why he did that, why she did that. We are adding, like you said so beautifully, it's like we have planted a seed of pain, and now we are watering it.
Watering it, yeah,
And
absolutely.
guess what? That's going to create suffering. That's how
Yeah.
suffering becomes, because that tree is going to grow, you
Yes,
know?
and that's the vibration and the frequency again that you're
Yeah.
attracting. And this is where, we'll talk about manifestation in future episodes, but I've actually got it written here, and this might sound a bit harsh, so please don't take it as harshly as it is, but every single thing in your reality is a mirror of what's happening inside you. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. And that's not to say that, oh, so I've chosen this, and now I'm a sufferer because, or I'm the one that's bringing pain into my life. It's the fact that we don't have the awareness, and so that's what we're projecting out there, and that's why the understanding your frequency, understanding your vibration, where you're at, is one of the most honest things you can do, because then you're like, okay, yes, I'm here, but it doesn't mean I'm going to stay here. And to your point, and I think this is really important, that we understand that yes, human beings will experience pain, but actually our go-to mode in life is joy. It really
Mm.
is joy. And you're going to experience challenges in the future, and that challenges can be really painful, or can be, well, there's a scale, and everyone's going to experience it differently. It will help you, because now I know since I've been on this journey, when there's difficult things that have happened, I'm able to deal with it with such awareness and grace and ease. I'm not saying all of a sudden there isn't pain in my life, or there isn't challenges. It's still there, but I have a different consciousness that I'm dealing with it with. And that's really powerful, because then and this is, everyone can do this. It's not unique.
Yeah.
We're not special. We're not unique. It's a skill that it's something that we have to all, we work with, and we'll get there.
And yeah, and I think it's about, again, what you said, because we have gone through that journey of awakening, of awareness, and we have learned certain tools, and
Mm,
now we know that we are not going to avoid pain.
yeah.
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 The pain is there to teach us something, whether it's little pain or more pain or whatever. So either it could be like as little as that you had a conflict at work, or
Mm,
as big as that you lost a loved one. Yeah.
mm, yeah.
So that's a scale of it. You can, go where. But when we go through, and there is no way you will avoid that pain. The minute you avoid that pain, something else will come up.
Mm, mm,
Or you avoid conflict, the conflict is going to get bigger and bigger.
yeah.
And when you have to face, it'll be too big. So when we avoid pain, that pain is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We are just not dealing with it. So that pain is going to keep seeping, keep adding to it unless it becomes so big, and then it's difficult. So
Mm,
mine and Purnima's work is all about guiding you. And when we are in that immense pain, we need somebody outside of us who has a better who has a better knowledge of it, or who can see it much better, because we all have, like me and Purnima both, we couldn't get through those
mm,
difficult moments on our own,
yeah.
because we had to have somebody who has better knowledge of it, who could see inside us, because we couldn't. Because when we are in this emotional soup kind of thing,
Mm,
it's like how I explain is that, like, I'm lost in sea. I'm in
mm,
deep waters and I'm lost in sea. Unless somebody else come and give me the anchor and
yeah.
saying, hey, come on my ship and I will guide you until you can find your own ship or you can swim, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
that's where I think we play a role of a guide, spiritual mentors, guides, and things like that, because, our gifts are that now when we talk to people, we can pick up on their energy,
Mm,
which vibration they are in.
yeah. Yeah.
Because if they are going to sit there, we know for sure that they are going to keep creating same thing. Like when I was in fear, I didn't think I could create love, because I'm
Yeah.
too far away from that vibration,
Yeah.
you know. And that's where, all the therapists and guides and spiritual mentors come, because we all need help. and we all need support when we are going through it. So we really hope that these episodes and our podcast is helping you to just shine a little bit of light on what's going on. And like we said, if you feel like if our voices resonate with you, if what we talk about resonate with you, do come and get in touch with you. But Purnima, one thing you said about pain, um, locating that pain in our body,
Mm.
that was important. So I'm going to do a process, if
Yep.
that's okay.
Yep.
And I know you're going to pull a card for us, and
Mm-hmm.
I always
Mm-hmm.
get very excited with
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
for
Yes.
that. But let's
Always.
do a quick process of um, locating your pain where it is, and how to move
Mm-hmm.
beyond that. If you're experiencing something that you
Yeah.
think, oh my God, what it is, and asking the right question. So it's shining the light where it is in your body and asking the right question and then allowing it to release. So are you
Yep.
ready?
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I just want you to, yeah, just close your eyes, guys, if you can. If you're not driving, if you're sitting at home, you can relax, and do it only if it is safe to do so. So close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Do it another time. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out. And one last time. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out. And I want you to imagine, or just remember, not even imagine, just remember that any pain, past pain, current situation that you're going through, you're carrying that pain. You don't know how intense it is, you don't know what it is doing. I want you to focus on that pain and locate it in your body. It could be any part of your body. Locate it. I want you to ask yourself, who is creating this pain? And wait for the answer. And the answer might surprise you. So let's ask again, who is creating this pain? And yes, if you haven't guessed, it's you. The triggers are outside, the situations are outside, but the pain, what you're experiencing, is created by you. So now imagine that wounded version of you. It could be a 4-year-old child, it could be 20-year-old person, adult, it could be very recent. Just imagine that wounded version of you who created that pain, and now it is in your body. And without being judgmental, without feeling guilt or shame, I want you to really hug them, really hug them and saying, it's okay. Okay, you didn't know. You thought it was coming from outside. And yes, the triggers were outside. You didn't know that you could do that to yourself. And just hug yourself. Tell yourself there's no need to feel guilt. There is no shame. You have to feel that pain to learn a lesson. And you can ask yourself, what is the lesson in this? What was the lesson that you had to learn through that pain? And now, the answer might come now, the answer might come later on in your dreams, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, doesn't matter. Now I want you to forgive yourself, to say to yourself, say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. And just see your wounded self just melting away in your arms, feeling loved, feeling seen, feeling supported. And now, let's repeat that 2 more times. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Whenever you're ready, just take a deep breath and open your eyes.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. I honestly, I know we've talked about the Ho'oponopono prayer in our previous episodes. It's such a powerful tool. And as you were taking us through that, it, another really important point to close this is the inner child healing. As you recognize, because we talk about pain and then the suffering. As you recognize that pain, you can go back to that inner child and heal that. And it's really important to do that, because then when you're living a moment, that inner child reaction or that inner child ego or that inner child protection doesn't come into play. So, again, working with Sangeeta and I, that would be part of the process, is actually going to that inner child, really sitting with that child, loving them, and going through this healing process. So thank you for sharing that. I am going to pull a card from the Gaia Oracle, a beautiful
Okay.
beaming heart of the Mother Earth. And let's see what's the message for our collective. Whenever you receive this, it will be relevant to you. Okay. Wow. Rising above, clarity, freedom, and solution. And what's so beautiful is that it's also a number 11. And this is so true, right? Rising above. It's not
Mm.
to say that pain, didn't happen. It's like, okay, let me understand it, and I'm going to look at it from above. And through that, you get your clarity, your freedom, and your solution. So I'll just read a little excerpt. The white dove depicted in this card flies high above the earth and is able to see things from a higher perspective. She suggests that you do the same. You cannot do this physically, but you can do it mentally by disconnecting emotionally from the present situation. No matter what the situation is, stop thinking about it. You're currently too close to see things clearly. A simple solution exists, and this will become clear to you once you let go. Stop focusing on the situation for a while. Bring your awareness within. Close your eyes, relax, meditate, surrender, let go, take a walk in the park, dance, have fun. Do whatever it takes you to detach from things for a while, and the solution will become obvious when the time is right. And the affirmations: I surrender the situation to the universal power of love. I trust that all is well in my life. I look at my life from a higher perspective. I am divinely guided, and all is clear in my life. I am safe. Gosh, that's so beautiful. It's so beauty, oh guys, yeah. Um,
Thank you. Thank you. It's just, it's just last few lines what I was talking about, isn't
yeah,
it? When we are in it, it's too much for us to
yeah.
have a
To
look at
see,
what's going on. Yeah.
yeah. And I think for me, there was two messages in that. One, yes, sometimes when you're too close to it, you can't see what the lesson is. You can't understand it. You don't, you just don't have, because you're also anxious. So
Yeah.
it's not fair to ask you to have that perspective. But these tools, either speaking to us or going out for a walk, getting out in nature, dancing, releasing, the answer will come through those moments. And um, just to close off on that, the other part was, sorry, there was just a thought that came to my head and now it's escaped me. It's the pain in our journey in our life. Is there's something bigger. So it's not, it's, yes, this thing has happened, but if you take a higher perspective and you understand, okay, what is it from a much bigger space? What is this trying to teach me, and how is it going to help evolve? How am I going to evolve through this? You're not then living in the day-to-day suffering. You actually realize, okay, there's something here I need to understand. I'm going to understand it. I'm going to release it, and I need to, and it'll come up. The onion layers, it'll come up. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to hand over to you. I know we can talk
Wow.
about this for hours.
That was so beautiful. I think the message was so clear that everything, again, what we talked about, it summed it up,
Yeah.
in a beautiful, beautiful way. But guys, we are coming to the end of the episode. So if something in today's conversation resonated with you, if you are noticing any pain, any patterns or emotions you would like to understand more deeply, know that you don't have to navigate this alone. Like we said, Punima and I both hold one-to-one space where we walk alongside you, helping you reconnect with your inner wisdom and move through life with more clarity, compassion, and trust.
Our work isn't about fixing or giving you answers. It's about creating a safe, grounded space where you can hear your own truth more clearly. If you feel called to explore that support, you'll find our details in the show notes. And if not, simply take what you need from this conversation and let it meet you where you are.
Well, pain doesn't mean that you're broken, and that is very, very important. But meeting pain with awareness doesn't mean you're weak. Sometimes the turning point isn't when pain ends, it's when you stop running away or turning away from it. So be gentle with yourself, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Take care. Bye.